All right, so we're going to go over the independent practice problems from week 8 this week, and we're going to do day 2. Okay, so here, first thing that we need to do is we need to remember what the rules are. The first step was to do distributive property. Combine like terms on each side is second. The third is to move the variables to the same side. And the last one is to isolate the variable by using inverse operations. And we wrote all of those in our notes. We wrote each of the steps in our notes. And this was the steps that we wrote in our notes. So make sure you refer back to those as you're working out problems. So here we don't have distributive property, so we skip step 1. Combining like terms on each side. So let's look at this side first. We can combine these terms on this side. Hold on real quick. Okay. So here you're going to combine like terms. So that's 6x minus 2x. That gives me 4x, okay? Then we got plus 11 is equal to negative 5. All right, so in our next step, after we have to combine like terms on each side separately, we're going to move the variables to the same side. We don't have variables on both sides, so we can skip that step also. So lastly, we're going to isolate the variable by using inverse operations. So in order to get the variable x by itself, we got to get rid of the 4 and the 11. Get rid of all terms that you add or subtract to get rid of first. So we're going to move this positive or plus 11 by subtracting 11. Did you understand that part, babe? Okay. So when you subtract 11 on both sides, this is gone, and we're left with this 4x. So we're going to bring down the 4x, bring down the equal sign, and now we have negative 5 minus 11. What's negative 5 minus 11? What do you think that is? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes. So what does that give you? Yes, negative 16. Okay, good job. So when we do that, after we do that, we're going to isolate the variable. Getting rid of the 4. Since 4 is attached by multiplication, how do you get rid of the 4 there? How do you get rid of the 4? Yep. So we're going to divide by 4 on both sides. Good job. So now here, this is going to give me x. And what's negative 16 divided by 4? What's negative 6? Very good. And it's going to be a negative 4 because a negative divided by a positive is a negative. So we get negative 4 here as our answer. Do you understand that? Okay. So now we're going to do number 2. We're using those same steps again, okay? So our first step is to do distributive property first. So let's do distributive property. So we have 3 on the outside of parentheses. It's a positive 3. So we're going to multiply positive 3 times both numbers in the parentheses. What's a positive 3 times x? It's 3x, okay? What's a positive 3 times a negative 2? Negative 6. Okay, make sure you multiply. 3 times 2 is 6. A positive times a negative is going to give me a negative 6. Are you okay so far, babe? Bring down the equal sign and bring down the 18. Okay, so my next step. In this next step, I need to get x by itself because I don't have variables on both sides. See, look, no combining like terms because we don't have any terms to combine. And then we don't have variables on both sides. So now we're here at number 4 where it says isolate the variable by using inverse operations. So we got to get x by itself. That means we need to get rid of the 3 and the negative 6. But remember, or minus 6. But remember, you have to use addition or subtraction first in order to get rid of terms. Since this is a minus 6, to get rid of a minus 6, we add 6 to both sides. Does that make sense? Okay. So now here, when we do that, this is going to be gone because -6 plus 6 is going to be 0. So I'll bring down this 3x. I'm going to bring 3x down. I'm going to bring my equal sign down. Okay. Now what's 18 plus 6? 24. Okay. So now I'm going to get rid of the 3. Very good. How do I get rid of that 3? Excellent. So we're going to divide by 3 on both sides. Now we have x is equal to what? What's 24 divided by 3? Mm-hmm. Very good. Do you understand that? Good job, sweetie. Okay, so let's go to number 3. Okay, the number 3 we're going to do is a longer problem, but we're going to follow the same steps. The first step is to do the distributive property first. So we have distributive property here. One of the biggest mistakes is that we forget about the sign in front of the number. This is a minus sign, so when we distribute, we're going to multiply -3 times both numbers in the parentheses. Do you understand that so far? Okay. So we're going to bring down this positive 3c, and when we multiply -3 times 6, that gives us a -18. When we multiply -3 times a -2c, a negative times a negative is a positive. 3 times 2 is 6, and we have c here. So this is positive 6c. Bring down the equal sign and bring down the 27. Do you understand that? Okay. Now our next step, looking at our steps, look, we did distributive property. The next step is to combine like terms on each side of the equal sign. So let's look at this side of the equal sign. Okay. What can we combine over here? What terms? Not quite. Try again. What terms can I combine on this side here? What terms are alike? They're like each other. It's harder to zoom in when you're recording, but I'll try, okay? Okay. Yes, you're going to combine 3c and 6c. What's 3c plus 6c? Okay, good job. So we got 9c. Does that make sense to you? Bring down the -18, bring down the equal sign, and bring down the 27. Does that make sense? Are you okay? Okay. Go down. Just a couple people in. Okay, so now when I after I combine like terms, there are no variables on both sides here. There are no variables on both sides. So I'm going to skip that step and go to this step where it says isolate the variable. For those of you that are just coming in, we're working on the guided practice problems from this week, okay? A couple folks that are in. All right, so here we are going to isolate C by getting rid of the negative or -18. How do you get rid of the negative or -18? Try again. What's the opposite of a minus? You add. Do you understand what I mean now? Okay. So when I add 18 to both sides, this is gone, and I'm left with this 9c. This is 0, so I put 9c here. Bring that 9c down. Bring down the equal sign. Okay. So now I'm going to add this side. I have 7 plus 8. What's 7 plus 8? Okay. Good job. All right. And then I have 2 plus 2, which is what? 4. Now what do I do to get rid of the c that's attached? Get rid of the c. Get rid of the 9 that's attached by multiplication. What do I do to get rid of that 9? Now you have to divide. Very good, babe. So when I divide both sides by 9, this gives me c is equal to what? Mm-mm. 5. Got it? Okay. All right, I'm going to pause right here real quick. Okay, so now we're doing number 4. We're doing number 4. With number 4, the first thing that we're going to do here is distributive property. And remember, I keep referring back to our rules. Distributive property is first. So we have 2 distributive properties right here. Okay, we have 2. We're going to perform both. So we got positive 3. I know it's a positive 3 because there's no sign in front of it. So I'm going to multiply positive 3 times both numbers in the parentheses there. This is a plus 2, so it's positive 2, and I'm going to multiply positive 2 times both of the numbers in the parentheses there. Questions so far? Are y'all okay? We all right? Are we there? Edison? Okay. All right, so now we're going to multiply 3 times y, which is 3y. Then we're going to multiply 3 times a negative 1, which is negative 3. Then we're going to multiply a positive 2 times y, which is positive or plus 2y. Then we multiply a positive or plus 2 times a positive 3, and that's positive 6. Bring everything else down. Any questions about that? Edison? Questions? Okay, you got to tell me when that happens because I don't know, okay? All right. Can you hear me now? Okay. So do you understand distributive property here? Do you understand that I multiplied 3 times the y, then 3 times the negative 1, positive 2 times positive 2 times the y, and then positive 2 times the 3? Do you understand that part? And do you understand how I got each of these numbers? All right. So now our next step is going to be to combine like terms. I'm referring back to our steps. It says combine like terms. So we're combining like terms on each side. What terms are we combining on this side here? Very good. What's 3y plus 2y? Very good. And so we combine these. What else can we combine? Yep. Negative 3 and 6. So this is 6 minus 3 basically because it's a minus sign or a negative in front of 3. So what's 6 minus 3? 3. So this is a plus 3 because the absolute value of 6 is greater than the absolute value of negative 3. So here we go. We're going to bring 13 down. Now what are we going to do in order to get y by itself? No, not quite. Try again, babe. Yes, you always do that first, okay? All right, so I'm going to subtract the 3 on both sides. Great job. So when I subtract 3 on both sides, 3 minus 3 is 0, so I'm left with this 5y. So bring down the 5y. Bring down the equal sign. What's 13 minus 3? 10. Good job. Now what do we do to get y by itself? You got to divide. So you're going to divide. No, it's not. I'll show you how. It's not at all. Only reason why I'm not doing it there right now is because I can't record from that screen. All right, so let's go to 5. Let's go to 5. Okay. All right, let me slide this up. Okay, so here we use distributive property first. And remember, I always refer back to my rules. Distributive property is first. So I'm going to distribute this point or 25 hundredths, 0.25 or 25 hundredths to both numbers. Remember, you can use your calculator. I'll put my calculator right here on the screen. I don't think that my calculator shows up in my video, but it's okay. Because it's on the computer, I don't know that it shows up on the video or not. But have your calculator up and you can multiply this 0.25 or 25 hundredths times 3, okay? And that gives you 0.75. So we got 0.75 here. It's like having 3/4 is 75 cents. So now we're going to multiply 0.25 times 1A, which is 0.25A. 1 times 0.25 is 0.25. You got A. Bring down your equal sign and bring down your 0.5. Okay, do you see what I did here? Okay. So now we need to get A by itself. So how do you get A by itself? What are you going to do? What are you going to get rid of first there? Yes, what are you subtracting? Good job. Can't subtract it to 0.25. 0.25 is connected to A by multiplication. What do you have to subtract? Yes, you have to subtract the 0.75. Okay? Okay, and again, you can use your calculator for this problem. Here, when I subtract, this gives me 0. This gives me 0.25A. And you have 0.5, all right, and minus 0.75. What do you think it is? It's going to be a net. Okay, can you speak up just a little bit louder so Miss Reyes can hear you? All right, so here I'm going to, in order to get A by itself now, I have to get rid of this 0.25 by dividing both sides by 0.25. Point 0.25 goes into 0.25 one time, so this is 1A. Bring down my equal sign. Again, 0.25 goes into 0.25 one time, so and a negative times a positive is a negative, so this is -1. Okay, let me bring this up a little bit so you can see it. Any questions about that part? Okay. All right, so let's do number 6. Number 6, we're going to do the same thing. This is 3/4. So, and this is distributive property. So we are going to multiply both numbers in the parentheses by 3/4. So we have 3/4 times x, which is 3/4x. Now we're going to multiply 3/4 times this 5.5. Let's do that over to the side. So we're going to do that over here. We got 3/4 times 5.5. Okay? You cannot multiply a mixed number. You have to change that mixed number to an improper fraction. Okay? So in order to change this mixed number into an improper fraction, I'm going to leave this alone and bring this down as 3/4 times. To change this into an improper fraction, the denominator stays the same, so I'm going to put the 2 here. I'm going to multiply 2 times the 5. That gives me 10. Then add the numerator, which is 1, so that gives me 11. So my new numerator here is 11. So again, I said 2 times 5, which is 10, plus 1 is 11. So that's how you convert this into an improper fraction. Questions about that? Now you can just multiply straight across. So when you multiply here straight across, this is going to give you 33 on the top. This is going to give you 8 on the bottom. Questions about that? Okay. So now I finished multiplying. So this is going to be a positive plus 33 over 8. Bring down my equal sign. Bring down 5 over 8. Questions about that so far? Are you okay? Okay. So now we're going to do it the same way we've been doing all the other problems. We have to isolate the variable x. I skipped a couple steps because I don't have terms that I can combine and I don't have variables on both sides. So all I'm doing is isolating x. So I got to get x by itself. Remember what I said before over here. You want to get rid of the number that's directly attached to it by multiplication. Do this last. Get rid of this 3/4 last. Let's get rid of this positive 33 over 8 first. So to get rid of a positive or a plus 33 over 8, I have to do the inverse of that, which is to subtract. So I'm going to subtract 33 over 8 on both sides. Are you okay so far? Bring down my equal sign, okay? When I subtract these fractions, this is going to give me a 0. 33 over 8 minus 33 over 8 is 0. So I'm left with 3 over 4x. On this side, when I subtract, my denominator stays the same when I subtract fractions. The denominator is 8, so that stays the same. So now what I have is 5 minus 33. Okay? 5 minus 33. Remember, if you cannot remember, you can use your calculator. You can use the number line to do it. But you have your 5 minus your 33, and you know that's going to be a negative 28. So this is negative 28 here. Are you okay so far? All right. Now you got to get rid of this 3 over 4. It's attached by multiplication, so technically you're going to divide this fraction. But when you divide fractions, anytime you have a problem that looks like this, when you divide a fraction, that's the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. And we talked about reciprocal the other day. Reciprocal is when you flip the numerator and the denominator. The numerator and the denominator. Sorry. So when I flip these, my numerator now is going to be 4. My denominator is now going to be 3. That's what I mean by multiplying by the reciprocal. So I multiply the other side by 4 over 3. So anytime you have a problem that looks like this, you're going to multiply both sides by the reciprocal. That means your numerator is going to be your denominator and your denominator is going to be your numerator. Are you okay? Okay, let me slide this up a little bit. Okay, good, good. Very good. So this gives me 12 over 12 x. And on this side, when I multiply, I'm going to multiply straight across here. Okay, again, I told you you can use your calculator. You have a negative 28 times your 4. And you see what that gives me? Negative 112 on the top. Okay? On the bottom, you have 8 times 3. What's 8 times 3? 24. Okay, do you see what I got so far? Good deal. So now 12 over 12 is just 1. So this is just x is equal to a negative 112 divided by 24. And we can simplify that by dividing. So let's divide by 24, 112 by 24, negative 112 by 24. And that gives us, if we write this as a decimal, that's going to give us a negative 4 and 6/10 repeating. Okay, got it? All right.